Yo, what's up YouTube? I'm Max. This is my affirmation video to my affirmation journal of a book I've been copying called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Like I said, it's my affirmation video to my affirmation journal. This is one take. I have everything written here. I'm just reading it as my affirmations. So you can just listen along as you can continue, and you can see all my videos are the same thing as I've just been repeating the same process over and over and over and over. Anyways, I'm Max, and this is the relationships, the spiritual practice. As the egoic mode of consciousness and social, political, and economic structures that have created into the final stage of collapse, relationships between men and women reflect the deep crisis of which humanity finds itself in. As humans have become increasingly identified with their mind, most relationships are not rooted in being, and so turn into a source of pain, become dominated by problems and conflict. Millions are now living alone, and single parents are unable to establish intimate relationships and willing to repeat the same insane drama of past relationships. Or they go from relationships to another playing pleasure and pain cycles to another in search of the elusive goal of fulfillment through the union of opposite polarity, energy polarities. So others compromise, continuing to be together in these relationships in which negativity prevails in the sake of children or security through the habit of whether that person is mutual beneficiary or arrangement, even though the unconscious addiction to the excitement or the emotional drama and pain. However, every crisis represents only danger, and both is have opportunity. If you realize these relationships energize and magnify egoic patterns of the mind and activate the pain body as they do at this time, why not accept the fact that rather than escape from it, why not cooperate with it instead of avoiding relationships and continuing to pursue a phantom of an ideal partner as an answer to your problems or a means of feeling fulfilled? The opportunity that is concealed within every crisis does not manifest until the facts have been given to the situation or acknowledged and fully accepted. As long as you deny them, or as long as you try to escape from them, you wish that things were different, and the window of opportunity does not open up, and you remain trapped inside the situation will remain the same or deteriorate further. With the acknowledgement of the acceptance of the facts that come in a degree of determination, for example, when you know this disharmony in the knowing, and you know this knowing of how this factor came into disharmony, you cannot remain unchanged. When you know you are at peace, your knowing creates a still space around you that non-peace and living, tender, embracing, and transmute your non-peace into peace. As far as inner transformation is concerned, there's nothing you can do about it. You cannot transform yourself and certainly can't transform your partner or anybody else. All you can do is create a space for transformation to happen, for grace and love to enter. So whenever your relationship is not working, whenever it brings out madness in you, your partner may be glad. You may be glad. Be glad. What is unconscious is being brought to the light. It is opportunity for salvation. Every moment holds the knowing of that moment, particularly of your inner state. If there's anger and anything in your anger, and you understand that this is jealousy, defensiveness, and the urge to argue and argument, and all these arguments and inner child demanding love and attention or emotional pain. Understand that. In the reality of the moment when we hold that knowing, a relationship then becomes your spiritual practice. If you observe the unconscious behavior in your partner, you hold in the loving embrace of your knowing, and then you know not to react. Just unconsciousness, and you cannot coexist for long. Even if the knowing is only in another person and not in who's acting out the unconsciousness, the energy from that which lies the hostility attacks finds the presence of love absolutely intolerable. If you react at all, your partner's unconscious, you become unconscious yourself. But if you turn and remember your own reaction, nothing is lost. Humanity is under great pressure to evolve because this is our only chance of survival as a race. This will affect our every aspect of our life, and relationships in particular. Never before had a relationship been such a problematic and conflicted and ridden as they are now. As you may have noticed, they are not as you make are happy or even fulfilled. Continue to pursue this goal of salvation through relationship. You'll be delusioned again and again. But if you accept that the relationship is here and now, and then you make a conscious of being happy, the relationship will offer salvation, and you'll become aligning yourself with the higher consciousness that wants to be born in this world. For those who hold the old patterns of increasing pain, violence, confusion, and madness, suppose that it takes two to make relationships to a spiritual practice, as you suggest. For example, the partner is still acting out these old patterns of jealousy and control, as I have pointed out this many times, but is unable to see it. How many people does this take to make your life spiritual practice? Never mind if your partner will not cooperate. Sanity and consciousness can only come into the world through you. You do not need to wait for the world to become sane, for somebody else to become conscious before you can be enlightened. You may wait forever. Do not accuse the other person of being unconscious. The moment you start to argue or have identified with the mental position, you're not defending not only that position, but also your sense of self. The ego is in charge. You have become unconscious at times. It may be appropriate to point out certain aspects of your partner's behavior. If you're very present, you can do so without ego involvement, without blaming, accusing, or making the other wrong. When your partner behaves unconsciously, relinquish all your judgment. Judgment is either a confusion or unconscious behavior with who you are as a projector of your own consciousness and either the person's mistake for who you are. To relinquish judgment does not mean that you do not need to recognize dysfunction and unconsciousness when you see it. It means that being the knowing rather than being the reaction, you may react still in the knowing, and the space in which your reaction is watched and allowed to be. Instead of fighting in the darkness, you bring it to light. Instead of reacting to the delusion, you see the delusion. Yet at the same time, look through it. Being in the knowing creates a clear space for loving presence that allows all things and people to be as they are. No greater cause for transformation exists. If you practice this, your partner cannot stay with you and remain unconscious. If you agree with the relationship will be your spiritual practice, so much better. You cannot express your thoughts, and you can then express your thoughts and feelings to others as soon as they occur, as soon as the reaction comes up, so that you don't need to create so that way you create a time gap and unexpressed and unacknowledged emotion or agreements can fester and grow. None of that happens because we're here and we're now and we live in the moment, and that's forever. And learn to give the expression to what you feel without blaming. Learn to listen to your partner in an open, non-defensive way. Give your partner space for expressing him or herself. Be present. Accusing, defending, and attacking, all of those patterns are designed to strengthen and protect the ego to get into which they need to become redundant. Giving space to others, giving yourself is very vital. Love cannot flourish without it. When you have removed the two factors that are destructive in the relationships, when the pain body has been transmuted and you're no longer identified with the mind and the mental positions, and your partner has done the same for you, you will experience the bliss of flowering relationships. Instead of mirroring each other into the pain and unconsciousness, instead of satisfying your mutual addictive ego needs, you will reflect back. You will reflect back the camouflage. You will reflect back to each other, to the love that you feel deep within, the love that comes from the realization of your own oneness with all that is. This is a love that has no opposite. If your partner is still identified with the mind and the pain body while you're already free, this will represent a major challenge, not to you, but to your partner. It's not easy to live with an enlightened person, or rather it is so easy that the ego finds it extremely threatening. Remember that the ego needs problems, conflict, and enemies to strengthen the sense of separateness on which the identity depends. An unenlightened person's mind will be deeply frustrated because its fixed positions are not resisted, which means that they become shaky and weak. And this is even the danger, that they may collapse altogether, resulting in a loss of self. The pain body is demanding feedback and not getting it. The need for argument, drama, conflict, and not being it. But be aware, some people who are unresponsive, withdrawn, and sensitive, or cut off from their feelings may think or try to convince others that are enlightened, or at least that there's nothing wrong with them and that everything is wrong with their partner. Men tend to do that more than women. They see that their female partners are irrational or emotional, but if you can feel the emotions, you're not far from the radiant inner body just that's underneath. If you are mainly in your head and the distance is much greater, you need to bring consciousness and emotional body before you can reach the inner body. If there is an emanation of love and joy, complete presence, the openness towards all beings, then it is not enlightenment. Another indicator is how a person behaves in difficult or challenging situations when things go wrong. If your enlightenment is egoic or self-delusion, then the life will soon give you a challenge that will bring out your unconsciousness in whatever form, as fear, anger, defensiveness, judgment, depression, and so on. And if you're in a relationship, many of your challenges will come through your partner. For example, a woman may be challenged in an unresponsive male partner who lives almost entirely in his head. She will be challenged by his inability to hear her, to give her attention and space to be, which is due to his lack of presence. The absence of love in the relationship, which is usually more keenly felt by a woman than a man, will trigger a woman's pain body, and through it will attack her partner, blame, criticize, make wrong, and so on. This in turn now becomes his challenge. To defend himself against the pain body's attack, which sees it totally unwarranted, and will become even more deeply entrenched in his mental position as he justifies, defends himself, or counterattacks. Eventually, this may activate his own pain body. When both partners have thus then taken over a level of deep unconsciousness that has been reached in emotional violence, savage attack, and counterattack, it will not subside. It will not subside, but both pain bodies will be replenish themselves into the dormant state until the next time. This is not only of the endless number of possible scenarios. Many volumes have been written, and many more will be written, about the ways in which unconsciousness is brought out into the male-female relationships. But as I said earlier, once you understand the root of dysfunction, you do not need to exploit its countless manifestations. Let's briefly look again. The scenario I have just described. Every challenge that is certainly is actually a disguised opportunity for salvation. At every stage of the unfolding dissatisfaction, and dysfunctional processes, freedom, unconsciousness is possible. For example, the woman's hostility become more and become a signal for the man to come out of his mind identified state, awaken into the now, become present instead of becoming even more identified with his mind, even more unconscious. Instead of being the pain body, the woman will know the emotional pain in herself, thus accessing the power of the now and allowing transmutation of the pain. This will remove the compulsive and automatic outward projection of it. She could then express her feelings and with her partner. There is no guarantee, of course, that he will listen, but it gives him a good chance to become present, and certainly breaks the insane cycle of involuntary acting out of old mind patterns. If the woman misses the opportunity, the man could watch his own mental emotional reaction to her pain, his own defensiveness, rather than being the reaction. He could then watch his own pain body being triggered, and thus bring unconsciousness and bring consciousness into his emotions. In this way, a clear and still space of pure awareness would come into being in the knowing, the silent witness, the watcher, and I can slow it down and I can speed it up. This awareness does not die the pain and yet is beyond it. It allows the point to be and yet transmute it. At the same time, it accepts everything and transforms everything. A door would have been opened up for which she could easily join him in that space if you're consistently or at least predominantly present in your relationship. This will be the greatest challenge for your partner. They will not be able to tolerate your presence for very long and to stay conscious. If they are ready, they will walk through the door that you open for them in that state. If they are not, you will separate like oil and water. The light is too painful for someone who wants to remain in darkness. Let me take it back. A couple pages. I'm Max. This is my affirmation video to my affirmation journal. This was the relationships as a spiritual practice. This is a spiritual practice, what I do here every night. I just repeat my affirmations that I have written. I'm Max. Thanks for listening, and I'm out.